This is Listen Lakeland, the show that keeps you up to date on all the things that make our city a great place to live, work, and play. Today's host leads the Watson Clinic Foundation's Arts and Medicine program, reaching more than 50,000 people annually. A passionate advocate for the healing power of the arts, she has helped launch several community health initiatives and brings both heart and strategy to her work at the intersection of arts and wellness. Here's your host, Tiffany Van Wieren.
Welcome to the good life.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm, like I said, Tiffany Van Wieren, and it is great to be hosting this month's episode of Listen Lakeland. This show is an extension of Lakeland Vision. For over 2 decades, Lakeland Vision has been a voice for the citizens of Lakeland, working with community stakeholders to create a bright future for our city. Today, we're exploring how Lakeland can continue to grow in ways that protect our natural beauty, strengthen our neighborhoods, and support a high quality of life for everyone. We're going to be joined by Marlon Lynn and Shawn McDonough as we talk about the intentional design of new, low-energy, tiny townhomes and explore this idea of smart growth and beautiful spaces, how Lakeland is building for the future. And since April is Earth Month, it's a perfect time to reflect about how thoughtful development and efficiency and stewardship all play a role in shaping the future of our city. You know, at Lakeland Vision, we really collaborate with a broad range of community stakeholders to really implement a comprehensive action plan that's shaped by the community's own vision of its future. And one of the key pillars in this is creating strong and safe neighborhoods. And in a season of growth that we have like right now, for our city, that means being intentional about sustainability, about efficiency, and about how development really impacts the quality of life. Strength and safety go far beyond infrastructure, right? They're about how people feel in their community, and how we build plays a critical role in that. So from beautification to thoughtful design, and as well as growth management and fostering a sense of community, these elements all matter. So growth isn't about building more. I think you both would agree. It's about building well. And so I want to thank both of you for being here with me today.
Thank you, Tiffany.
So our conversation today really centers about how we grow, not just how much we grow, right? Because we know we're growing a lot. But we're going to be talking about efficient design, thoughtful land use, how development can respect and enhance existing neighborhoods, all while meeting the needs of a growing community. So can you guys tell me a little bit about this project that you're working on and what makes it so special?
Go right ahead, Marlon. All right. So we had the opportunity to look at a piece of property that is an infill lot in the middle of the city, in the middle of a neighborhood. But it was very, very special because it's on the edge of the commercial zone, right across the street from a Publix, also near a transit stop. So with all those components, we were able to really look at putting a denser use on the property and trying to find a way to do that respected the property, the trees that were there, and doing it in the most sustainable way possible. And because those were our goals, we really were able to go through the codes and find the least used criteria and develop a really cool integrated property.
Oh, that's really neat. Now, tell me about yourself. So you are an architect?
I am.
And tell me a little about your company and what you do on a daily basis.
Sure. So I have a firm here in Lakeland. I've been in business since 2004, and we work mainly in commercial. We do some multifamily, but work all over the state of Florida, just about every kind of building you could imagine.
And then, Marlon.
Marlon.
Sean, sorry.
I'm Sean. Yep. I'm Shawn McDonough. I own McDonough Construction, so I'm bringing the construction side of this to the project. And I'm also, a residential realtor. My wife and I own S&D Real Estate. We've been in real estate I've sold real estate for 26 years in Lakeland. And we started our real estate company, S&D Real Estate, and about 12 years ago, I believe, 11 and a half years ago. And when we did that, I don't compete with our agents, so I decided to get my contractor's license, and since just built custom residential homes and done remodels and fortunately now we're working with Central Florida Speech and Hearing and working on some commercial space and helping them. And that's what we do typically. And now we're fortunate to work with Marlon and working on the modern, which is this project.
Now, you guys have kind of been in your own like kind of spheres that have been kind of bumping up against each other for a while.
Right.
And when you kind of came together for this project, you both had sort of a missing piece of the puzzle that came together. Is that correct?
Yes, I'd actually had already purchased the property and had worked or looked at the property with a developer, and we'd gone through the partially through with the City of Lakeland to find out what could be built there, and the city was fine at the time with with what the zoning allowed for, which was could have been a large multifamily apartment complex, like one single building, and that would have made all the trees would have had to come down. You'd had to have a retention, like a pond, basically, on the property, and therefore, clearing it. You'd have to clear all the trees, scrape it, and start over. And that was a no-starter or a non-starter for me. And that project didn't, that the developer didn't want to do that either. And it was really cost prohibitive. It would have been $4 million or more to do, and it just outrageous. And when Marlon and I had a mutual friend that kept putting us together, and we were ignoring the clues, and so it took a little while. But when I finally accepted the clue and called Marlon up and told him what I had going on, and he told me what he had going on, when we put those two things together, it was more of a God moment than I think anything that we could take credit for, because it was really what allowed this to take off and to be able to provide workforce housing to 12 potential families, and the luxury type lifestyle, the efficiency, and the strength out of, basically because of the way Marlon's designed the structure, really just benefits the entire community and certainly will the residents.
Well, and that, talking about what makes this project unique, your piece of the puzzle really does, the design is very efficient, right?
Absolutely. So for the past 3 years, some of the folks in my office have worked with me to develop a building shell system, and we call that company Flora Lake. And with Flora Lake, we've been able to take steel and wood, put them in composite, and develop a structural system that has 3 times the strength of what the building code requires. It has an amazing energy efficiency. We have R30 insulation in the floor, the wall, and then more in the roof. So
you were telling me that that's not done in Florida typically, especially the floor and the roof for that type of insulation, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Most buildings sit on a concrete floor with no insulation at all, and the building code only requires an R15 in the wall. So our system gives you just an amazing energy efficiency, and because of that and the strength, it was the right product for the site for the modern. And the building is also the right size for the site to really qualify for an exemption in SwiftMud that allows us to not do water retention because we're less than 9,000 square feet of total impervious area between the buildings and the parking lot area.
So impervious area, for those listeners at home, I just learned this, means that water can't go through it, correct?
Correct.
And you have pervious concrete, which means the water can filter through, which actually helps with things like flooding, if I understand it correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. So we basically don't have water running off of the site, just like all of the other lots in the neighborhood. So we're trying to be respectful of that existing system.
Well, even things like removing trees, even though it does cost the you at the build site more to take everything down, and it also affects the area as well, right? So things like drainage, because trees help filtrate, they also help hold things together. What else? What are the other benefits, especially when we're talking about like sustainability and good stewardship of our spaces?
Well, mainly just that they're there, and we want to keep them there and keep them healthy and enjoy them. So that was a big push for Marlon and I that the more the way we laid the project out, he did it in a very strategic way, and it took a long time. It wasn't something that was just done on a napkin. It was moved around and moved around and moved around. That's where the adjustments were made, and it was made for saving trees. One of the best parts, I got to tell this the other day, that the largest tree that had to come down was one of the oldest, was one of the ones I was most concerned with. I had a hunch about it. I talked to Stacy, one of the arborists here, the landscaping with the City of Lakeland, with Parks and Rec, and he had a hunch also, but we really couldn't tell that there was any great amount of rot or not with the tree standing. Well, when it did come down, and it had to, when it did, I was really just actually screaming for joy. People were probably looking at me like something was wrong with me, but there probably is. But when the tree came down, we were able to see that the entire inside of it was completely rotted, and that was just telling me that tree had lived its life. We're fortunate that it didn't fall over, hurt anybody, and that we were able to enjoy it for as long as we could. But it had to come down, but it was sacrificed in a point. It would have gone anyway. So that was nice. And we've done things like after the fact, after we were we had full steam ahead, start the project, and it had already started. We go to do one of the foundations to what we call Building 6. And it was so close to one of the trees that is staying on the property that we were able to shift it back, or shift it north about 8 feet, which will save the tree, it keeps it there, and the house still gets built, and everybody's happy. So,
well, and I think that's really good to know that you're working with arborists, and because I think that's such an important part of that. Looking at how we build intentionally, right? How we make use of the space. And that area specifically has access to a lot of different things. We were talking about earlier how it has access to the public's right there. It has access to, there's a subdivision that's right there as well. So there's individual housing. It's close to accessible transportation. So, building these sort of livable spaces is incredibly important to safe neighborhoods because it allows people to be out and about, which, when you have people that are out and about, that in itself creates a safer neighborhood, right? For energy efficiency and that kind of thing, why is that something that is important in design itself? Like, I understand, my electric bill understands why it's important, but why is it important from the design aspect?
So I'll even start at the site level. We actually have designed it in a way to reduce that heat island effect. So saving the tree canopy really gives it a ton of shade on the property. And the number of trees that were there, we were able to move the buildings around to remove the least number of trees. But we saved 100% of the trees that weren't in building footprints. So it was a situation where we just had the opportunity to make the site match the buildings that were going there. And then also the roofing material that we have actually helps with, it's a white roof material, so it radiates heat. So it allows for a cooler roof system.
What do people usually use for roofing? Is it again?
Sure.
Like probably many of our listeners at home, not an architect. So what do people usually use for the roofing material?
Dark colored shingles that are petroleum based, so they're made out of fossil fuels.
Okay.
Get really hot.
Yeah. Do you know that my roof gets very hot? So
exactly. So inside your attic, you may have it 150 degrees inside the attic. We take a different approach. So we have no cavity vented space in the roof system. So we just have that cool roof. We have the R40 insulation for the roof system, and then the floor or the roof, the ceiling finish below. So it's all one composite sandwich that really gives you a ton of energy efficiency compared to any other house that gets built here in Lakeland.
What does that mean day to day for residents? Not just the roofing, but these design elements. So again, not an architect, not in construction, but I think everybody that's gone into a poorly designed bathroom can attest to how difficult it can be when something is not designed well. and can appreciate when something does have a really great design that is very beneficial. So what for you are some key things that really affect the day-to-day of the residents that will be staying there?
So we also have a very complex air conditioning system that is a system that runs continuously, and it just ramps up or down depending on the heat load. And that really does improve the indoor air quality along with the insulation. And we use low VOC materials inside the building. So
what is low VOC? Because again, low VOC, what is that?
Volatile organic compounds.
Okay.
So
I don't think I want those. Yeah.
the new car smell.
Yes.
It's a lot of VOC.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Now I know what that is.
Plastics and other materials really give off or can, depending on the
what it's made of.
Yeah, what it's made
of. Challenge for those of you at home, try to work that into a conversation sometime this week. Yeah, so I had some VOCs that, no, just as a challenge for you at home. So, so what about, so developments like yours, so not just yours, but like yours that are trying to be very intentional, trying to be very good stewards of the space around. How does that contribute to, strong neighborhoods in general?
Well, we need the right construction, the right buildings happening, the sustainable ones happening on these infill lots. So we hope people will follow this lead. We want to continue this in the city of Lakeland and in the appropriate places. That one thing we haven't talked about is that we didn't come out and ask the city or for any zoning changes or any changes to what could be done there on the lot. We actually came to them and just said, what can we do on it? And they have been tremendous about just literally just working with us at every point, because they understood from the very get-go what we were working towards. And this is we're dealing with a different city than I think some people may have experienced in the past, because the city is really rolling out the red carpet, so to speak, and working with us every day and in every step. That when we have challenges that come up, they sit down with us, and we had I think 8 of them sitting down with us yesterday, and a commissioner, and we've just had a tremendous response. They really are bending over backwards to help where we can and to make sure that we're getting the benefit of all the different policies or functions that the city has put in place. Like there's a down payment assistance that a lot of people don't even know about this, but Midtown or in this area that we're at there at Southgate, north of the Southgate on Oak Street, is eligible, qualifying folks or citizens in the community could make application, and if they qualify, it's a income regulated, so it can't make too much money, but it's a workforce housing type initiative. So we're looking for people that at that certain income level, and they do 20% down payment assistance up to $50,000. That's going to be incredible on this program, because that also, when that person qualifies for that, that actually triggers a mechanism that refunds part of the city's impact fees back to that the person also under that property. So therefore, back to that workforce housing person, and that's a $58,000 benefit that the city is providing for you to come buy a brand new home.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's pretty good. I like those.
Well, and again, when we think about safe neighborhoods, part of what we have to consider is it accessible, right? Is it an accessible neighborhood where we can invite everybody, to have a seat at the table? And so that's such a wonderful program that's available. That's really cool to hear. So, which kind of brings me to my next question, which is what does it mean, I should say, to fit within you guys are both local here. What does it mean to fit within a community? We, Lakelanders we have Lakeland pride, right? And so we really have a really wonderful community here, and we are growing. We're bringing new people in every day. So what does it mean to commit to or to fit within what already exists, especially within a dynamic community like ours?
So I think for our development, we really felt like we could offer a different kind of product for folks that the product just isn't there right now in this construction environment. Anybody that can afford a 6,000 square foot house can still go build a 6,000 square foot house right now. But it's not that way for something. There's very little in that mid tier for folks to even go out and buy. So we're fulfilling that gap, really trying to give folks an opportunity to live in a wonderful neighborhood, to have great neighbors. The neighbors around the property, we've met all of them. They're amazing people. So they are accepting of what we're doing, and to keep an eye out for us. And we really just have enjoyed being part of that community. And I think the folks that move there will also have that same feel.
You mentioned looking out for you and everything. And that's something that's really important when you're talking about community, right? There's actually a name for it. It's eyes on the street. And it highlights how more people being out and about makes for a safer place. I didn't realize there was actually a term for that, but eyes on the street. I like that. We're the eyes on the street. What would you say is your favorite piece of this product? Like, what is like the thing you're like, I am so excited we did this, and it just makes you very excited to talk about?
I'm going to jump back on that one very quickly, eagerly. It's trees again. Trees and chicken is how I'm going to say it. Because
hold on,
trees and chicken.
Trees and chicken.
I'll get there. You have to be in. So Building 7 is the one that's up right now, and I've just recently, I think it was last week, was up on the second floor. And the views out the windows, I love the trees. We work really hard to keep them there, and it's great to look at from the street level. But it's when you get up in that unit, you get up in that home, and you're looking out, you're in the trees. It's like you say, oh yeah, but I didn't get it. I didn't think it through. I guess, or I didn't expect it. So I got up there and I was like, oh my! I mean, your perspective change. Just like we're in this building now, looking out over Lake Morton, is beautiful, or Lake Mirror.
Yes.
Sorry. But same thing here. It's just a beautiful views. We have real high fixed glass windows. It lets a lot of light in, but it is up high, so you're using that space below it and using every inch of the unit, and but yet still getting that natural light in there too. When you're up there on that second floor, we don't have that glass in the building yet. So the Publix chicken and the bread smells and the Peking house kind of blend right under that tree canopy, and just
about 9:30 in the morning, they cook cinnamon rolls.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. Okay,
so that if there is any negative, you're going to be very happy in this new space. People are going to want to live here. You're going to save all kinds of things. Obviously your electric bill, but you may gain weight.
It's okay.
It could
just
become
that happy college 15 only for a new house.
It's a life thing. It's not just for college anymore.
So what is your favorite thing?
I've really enjoyed that we've barely touched the property. We've gone out, we've dug the foundation, we've been able to, fill in little holes that were disrupted during the demolition of the old house that was there. But I've really been proud of the fact that it's an entire development, and we barely touched the land.
That's so important when it comes to stewardship of our space. We have so many beautiful green spaces in Lakeland. And I think part of our culture here locally is to try to preserve that as much as possible. So I think that's definitely something to be proud of for sure. What excites you most about the future of housing? So this is what you guys do every day. So when I think about the housing in Lakeland, like I don't think, oh, this is exciting to me. This is the thing that I can hold on to, that I go, I'm excited about this, except for maybe opportunity. But for you, what excites you most about housing and the future of housing?
Well, I think for us, the Flora Lakeside, we really are trying to create high performance housing for people and rethink what housing can be, what kind of automation that can be in the home, what kind of technology we can integrate. All of those things will make housing different than it is today. And housing hasn't changed in hundreds of years.
I will say, though, that what I was looking for in a house maybe 10 years ago, I'm looking for something different now. And do you see that happening? You've done real estate. Mm-hmm. Do you see that people have changed what they're looking for in housing?
Absolutely. Yeah. When we first even started talking about this, and I bring it up to folks, I would have to explain the system, the concept, just to explain to the vendor or the technical person, whatever, that I was trying to get that trade out of or try to get their help for on something. They would interrupt me and they wouldn't know more about the lifestyle and the hey, what's the size and where's this? And they go, hey, I could see myself living in that. And I'm looking at them going, well, number one, I'm here to talk to you about this. I'm not interested where you're going to live, you know. But it's intriguing how many people look at that and go, oh, I could use some of that. And I go, well, what do you mean? It's a lifestyle we're changing here. This is a townhouse, so it's 2-story. Mm-hmm. Your first floor is a half bath. Your spiral staircase will lead you to the second floor. It's your full kitchen, storage, pantry type items. You've got a small couch, TV. So that's where you're maybe if you work from home, you can work in this space. And then your upstairs is on these first 2 buildings. It's the whole floor. It's the entire second floor is the space. Wow. We're not putting up big brick walls and cutting things up, making it choppy and making you go around corners and then through
and a full
doors
bath.
And things. So yes, and there's a full bath up there. Lost my train of thought. So I've been really impressed by the number of people that I think just want the minimalist. It's a more of a minimalist lifestyle. There is no garage, so there is no lawnmower because you're not cutting grass anymore. There's no weed eater. There's no gas. Don't bring it. If anybody's already living in a home and they're going to buy this and not be their first home, they're going to probably have to have an estate sale like they've passed and gotten that big promotion in life. Sell everything I had because they're not going to need it. I mean, you have a place that you can hang your bicycle up inside if you'd like. That'd be great. But other than that, you got plenty of parking over there. But once you get into the space, we're basically providing everything for you because of the function of this. Because we can't build, let's say, a walk-in closet and give you a big dumb door and then give you bare walls that you got to go out and buy a closet system and this and that. No, we have to give you that without the walls, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lifestyle, but it's definitely, I think it's for somebody that doesn't want to come, like take you're with Watson Clinic and all the different health groups in Lakeland with residency doctors, residency programs, and medical students coming in. Do they want to? Some don't always just want to go to an big apartment complex with hundreds of people.
It's finding new ways to live and to be in the community.
Right.
And I think that's when we're kind of talking about how public spaces are used, it's because active spaces tend to be safer spaces, which tend to be more connected. Cities are really leaning into that collaboration between residents, organizations, and city departments as well. So whether it's joining a cleanup, supporting local initiatives, or just being mindful of how we care for our shared spaces, everybody, including you at home, has a role to play. And so I want to thank both of you so much for being here with us today. Lakeland's future isn't something that just happens. It's something that we build together, one thoughtful decision at a time. And if today's conversation has you thinking about how you can be a part of keeping Lakeland beautiful, there are some great ways to get involved this month and every month. The city offers wonderful different things. They have water treatment tours. They have educational programming and outreach. And in fact, on April 10th, the Parks and Recreation Department is even going to host a class at Kelly Rec that's focused on drought-tolerant plants. So you can volunteer through programs like Adopt a Lake or Adopt a Road because, strong and beautiful communities are built through small, everyday actions by people who care. So we would love your feedback. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in to the Listen Lakeland show. Your feedback is valued and encourage you to head over to www.lakelandvision.org to participate in our monthly survey related to today's topic.
I said, welcome to the good life.
Listen Lakeland is brought to you as a collaborative project between Lakeland Vision, the City of Lakeland, and Hall Communications, a community working together to provide an exceptional quality of life. Want to watch the show? Check out the video version at lakelandvision.org. Thank you for being with us.